La verdad es que cuando vi el trabajo de Vera la primera vez, me fascinó, me parece que es un trabajo súper interesante. Vera tiene un perfil multidisciplinar y bueno, pues yo creo que yo siempre les estoy diciendo a mis alumnos que tienen que beber de diferentes fuentes, porque si todos bebemos de lo mismo, eso que se dice de thinking out of the box, ¿no? Piensa fuera de la casa, de la caja, perdón, hacer algo diferenciador es muy difícil. Y para mí, que soy una auténtica fan del talento, ¿no? de la creatividad, de la diversidad, bueno, pues de la diversidad, creo que eso nos enriquece a todos, ¿no? Yo creo que la moda debería de ser una expresión cultural de nuestro tiempo. Y bueno, pues la verdad es que en ese sentido me encantó el trabajo de Vera. Tenéis uno de los maniquíes de la exposición, es de ella, y bueno, pues la contacté y le dije que si se venía a contárnoslo en vivo. Así es que dentro de esta última parte, ¿no?, que hemos llamado Positive Fashion, Positive Future, ¿no?, con la idea de que una moda positiva puede generar, ¿no?, todo, pues igual que el directorio, ¿no?, o sea, todo ronda alrededor de esta idea del impacto positivo. Y bueno, pues yo creo que el trabajo de Vera es una muestra más de ello, y también en ese aspecto a nivel creatividad creo que os va a encantar. So, thank you very much for coming, Vera. We are looking forward.
Does it work?
Yes, it works. Bueno, so thank you very much, and we are looking forward to hearing your talk. Okay.
Yes. Does everybody hear me? Yeah, I think so. Right? Okay, I'm from Holland, so I do not speak Spanish, so I don't know what she already told about me. But my name is Vera, and I would say I'm a fashion researcher / designer, and I'm going to show you some of my projects today that I do. The one that you see here is the one we're going to discuss first. It's my design graduation project from 2 years ago. But you're gonna see it later. First, I want to show you a bit of my work, so you get an idea of who I am and what I do. I have a bit of a diverse background. I have a background in science, in photography, and in textile design. So when I think of projects or my future practice, these things all tend to merge. So you could say I'm a bit of alpha and beta at the same time, and I like it that way. So what you can see here is my photography work on the left top, in the middle the fashion projects. We're going to discuss the one which is on the bottom right, which is on-demand sportswear brand that I founded. I do expositions, I design textiles, and I research innovative techniques, in this case 3D printing on textiles. But we're going to start at the beginning. So a long time ago, I would say 3 years ago, I started working in the fashion industry in Antwerp. That's why this beautiful image is here. And whilst working in the fashion industry and having my first experiences there, I got a bit frustrated with the way the system works. So, for example, if we would design a t-shirt, I counted, and it would take 7 shipments before it would end up in the hands of the consumer. And besides that it is not the most efficient of course everything is outsourced. It was very hard to control the process, the manufacturing process. So it would happen quite a lot that mistakes were made, and we cannot fly to India every week. So for me that was a problem. And I thought about a way to fix that and to bring the production back to Holland, because that's where I'm from. And in Holland we have 2 weaving companies left, and I tried to find a way to have, when the textile is woven, to have that be the final garment piece. So I designed a set of coats, of which one is also outside, the pink colorful neon coat, which is woven directly into the woven fabric. So textiles get woven on a 150 meter wide jacquard loom. And I wove the pattern, the design of these coats immediately into the fabric. And I did research on how to make that cuttable, because what happens when you cut a woven fabric, it starts to fringe. And I wanted to do this so that I could incorporate the wearer as a co-creator in the process instead of them just buying it in the final stages. So what did I end up with? Here you see half of the design, but basically it's a pop-up textile, what I call it. So it's a flat piece of material, which when you cut it out, it gets a 3D shape. So it's a transformative textile, which was first a half fabricate, is now the end product. And besides the fact that it has a design in it, I overlapped multiple designs in it. And this one is not the woven version, it's the silk screened version. And I will try to explain you a bit how it works. So I've designed, in this case, 2 coats. The dark blue line illustrates one design with the neon line over it, and the light blue line illustrates a smaller coat. So when you get my piece of textile, you decide which one you want to have, and you cut it out and wear it. And the piece was made non-fringeable in this case by a plastic finish on the edge of the part where you cut it. So this is a close-up, it's not super sharp as you know. And what I really liked is that something which has a function or practical use, so the cutting lines, actually are here also the decoration of the piece. For the woven coats, it was a bit more tricky. So I already mentioned that when you weave a piece of textile, normally it goes to the sewer, the seamstress, they cut it out, and when it's a very heavy woven piece, the fringing is often quite intense that you have to reinforce it on the edges in order to make a blazer or a coat or something like this. But I wanted, when my customer cuts out the coat design, that the finishing would already be in it. I didn't want them to have to sew anything. So for that I had to do a research how to incorporate anti-fringing material into this piece of textile. For this I collaborated with a local weaver in Holland. It's called EE Labels. Normally they make labels. And I used their machines to work with a very specific type of yarn, a melting yarn, which they normally use to put in a horizontal line at the end of a fabric or at the end of a label so that it melts off a clean edge on the side. And this material is still flexible. So I thought, what if you could weave that in a pattern shape, not only in a horizontal line? So that's what I did, and you can see it most clearly on the right image. So the left piece of textile is the one without the melting yarn when you cut it, and the one on the right is the one where I didn't weave in this melting yarn. So as you can see, the finishing is directly in the fabric. And here I made a sample where it's on top of the fabric, which is really a clean finishing as well. And what I did here is to research if this finishing technique could also be used as a way to stick fabrics together. And that worked. So for further steps, it would be nice to try and see if you could assemble garment pieces in that way. So this is how it was woven in EE Labels. It's really nice that you can be there while they do it. This is actually the back side. I always love it very much when I have woven a piece of textile that the back side is never, or that it's very beautiful actually, and it's never really used in garments. And to make my garments multi-purpose in that sense, or have a double use, I made the backside pattern as interesting as the front side and have them reversible. So this is actually the back side, and this is the front side. So this was the design. And from that you can have 2 choices of coats. And the final one. So I did this project and I thought, what an interesting thought to incorporate the consumer in the process of creating a garment, to have them co-create the piece. And while I was thinking about that, I got in contact with Martijn van Strien, who is, maybe you're familiar with it, the founder of the open source community, the fashion community. and he has digital files of garments which you can laser cut and assemble. And we were discussing about how we see our generation producing fashion, and from that discussion we made this book. And it's a discussion about fashion as an open source community. I don't know how familiar you are with FabLabs here, but in Holland we're quite familiar with it. The FabLab is like an open workshop where you have laser cutters, 3D printers, well, all kind of machinery really. And this vision was really a combination of a shop and a FabLab, so that people can go into this FabLab and create their pieces themselves. And you can download it for free, it's open source on this website. I'm going to skip a little here. And what we found very important while discussing this future of fashion and open source, that it would be therefore locally, sorry. I'll just remove it. I think Sarah means cancel, or I hope so. And to bring in locally is very important. We want to bring back local production, since we have none anymore in Holland, except 2 factories, and make it made to measure. And this is especially interesting when you think about sportswear. The company that I founded with a friend of mine, Anouk van de Sande, and it's of course called Anouk X Vera, because it's Anouk Vera. And we design sportswear, but made to measure and on demand. So basically, no production happens, there's no stock, unless somebody places an order. And this can be all over the world. We've shipped to Singapore, Korea, because it's digital, anyone can access it. And you can, when you order, you can leave your measurements for us, so that we can make it as optimal for you as possible. And this maybe plays a less bigger role with white t-shirts or oversized clothing, but for sportswear it's kind of necessary, and that's also why we chose to do it with sportswear first. So basically when you go to our website you can place an order, but what can happen when you do on-demand and made to measure, it could happen that you have 1 order every month. That doesn't really make our printing company very happy, because we print everything, as you can see. So we decided to cluster orders. So when you place an order with us, everything goes into production the first of the next month, the first date of the next month. And in that way, we also try to keep shipping amounts as low as possible. Did I? Yeah. Okay. The last one I'm going to show you is actually one that I'm working on right now. So it hasn't been published yet. It hasn't launched yet. It's a project that kind of combines the 2 ideas I just talked about. So made-to-measure production and on-demand locally with modern technology in a FabLab, so to say. And this project showcases the shop as a kind of lab. So it's a new way of shopping. So you don't enter a store where there are a lot of clothing items. You enter a store which is empty, and there are only machines and prototypes of materials. And I do this because I very much believe in the idea to only produce something when there is a direct need for it. And hopefully in the future, we only produce without any waste. So we produce additive with layer upon layer, instead of cutting away layers as we do it now. So we cut away fabric and assemble the t-shirt, then you have waste material. I hope that in the future we only add layers. So that's why I'm researching a lot about 3D printing. And of course this is still a very cold technique, but there is a lot happening behind the scenes that not everyone in the general public is aware of. For example, what I'm researching now is how to print multi-materials. So it's not only one material that can either print hard or soft, but you can make gradients of materials to create a piece which is partly hard and partly soft. This could be for either shoe wear or eyewear. And besides that, I'm still researching how people could produce something in a fab lab without having the need to sew anything. So that's why I'm designing these connector pieces, these buttons that you see in the top left, and machines that can 3D print on a bigger scale than is available now. So now we can only print 50 by 50 maximum. I'm designing machines that can 3D print 100 by 100 or even bigger centimeters. And this could also be very workable for shoe wear, so that you could either reprint the base of your shoe in my store or add another top part as a modular piece. And the next one is still in process, but I was playing around with the idea of having a weaving loom that would not have any waste material and that could weave in the shape of a garment or in the shape of a pattern. Now it's very difficult to adjust a digital loom because it's a super big machine. So I tried to do it with embroidery, and it works quite well for accessory pieces and small patterns for tops. So what I basically do is I embroider on a water dissolvable material, and in that sense the embroidery machine also works as a 3D printer. You only print what is necessary to create the piece, and after that you dissolve it in the water and the final textile piece will appear. And the medium that I'm embroidering on is a biodegradable material, so that's also great. And the idea is, because I don't believe in one technique, one approach, one way of doing something, I think it will be a combination of multiple techniques, and not everyone will want to go into a lab and create garment pieces themselves. So you can order it online or in any other manner, but I think, and I see around me, that especially my generation is very familiar with digital printing techniques and is something that they want. So if there's a demand, we can use it to change this production chain for the better. So that is what I had to tell you. Was it clear? Okay. Are there any questions? Or you want to summarize it first?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Voy a hacer un pequeño resumen en español. Vera tiene intereses eclécticos que engloban la ciencia, la fotografía y el diseño textil. Su enfoque multidisciplinar conforma su particular visión de la moda, que en su opinión debería ser completamente por encargo y por lo tanto no depender de un stock almacenado. Cuando comenzó su andadura en la industria de la moda, le chocó mucho la gran distancia existente entre el diseñador y el consumidor. Una simple camiseta pasa por 7 puntos en el recorrido hasta llegar a las manos de su comprador. Como respuesta a esta frustración surge Pop-Up. Por medio de este proyecto, Vera intenta minimizar la cantidad de tela que se desperdicia en el patronaje, así como la distancia entre el comprador haciendo la experiencia de compra más personal e interactiva. Hacer del comprador un co-creador de la pieza que compra. Por ejemplo, hace diseños que tienen 3 posibilidades y el comprador decide por dónde quiere cortar y ha creado un material para que el acabado no haga falta coserlo, que quede un buen acabado. Para ello, colaboró con una compañía de costura local en Holanda llamada E-Levels. Después de este proyecto, creó su propia firma, Anouk X Vera, que produce ropa deportiva por encargo. El consumidor tiene la oportunidad de dar sus medidas a la hora de hacer el encargo, de forma que la prenda es prácticamente hecha a medida. Todo el proceso de fabricación se lleva a cabo en los Países Bajos, para poder controlarlo de cerca y llevar a cabo ajustes cuando son necesarios. El proyecto de Vera está también enfocado a investigar el papel de la tecnología en el ámbito de la producción de moda a nivel local y cómo esta interacción puede ayudar en la creación de una industria de la moda más sostenible a nivel medioambiental, social y económico. Como consecuencia de los efectos de la era de la información, que propicia una mayor exposición de las injusticias del sistema de producción, un número creciente de consumidores comienzan a demandar una mayor transparencia en cuanto al proceso de producción. Cada vez nos acercamos a estructuras que son menos jerarquizadas y más colaborativas. Esta apertura ya es real en muchos campos, como la industria de la música o en los medios de comunicación. Y poco a poco, en el mundo de la moda, se empiezan a demandar estructuras más colaborativas, así como un mayor empoderamiento de los consumidores. Su próximo proyecto, llamado Assembly Lab, propone un microlaboratorio de manufactura a escala local. como una nueva forma de comprar. Un lugar en el que los consumidores interactúen con la tecnología y los productos puedan ser hechos por encargo o in situ. Las técnicas de impresión 3D desempeñan un papel importante en la concepción de la moda de Vera. ¿No sería maravilloso si un día la producción llegara a ser un proceso de adición en lugar de sustracción? Añadir capa tras capa en lugar de cortar y descartar, de forma que se eliminasen los desechos. Su proyecto, Assembly Lab, investiga cómo hacer esta realidad posible, así como qué tipo de maquinaria sería necesaria. Es una maravillosa colaboración entre el arte y la tecnología, que es lo que Vera considera clave para resolver los problemas de la moda actual.
Sí, ahora. Realmente fascinante. Yo me encantaría empezar a hacer preguntas. I really love to start to make questions. The problem is that we have still more things to do, more talks. So, but I really invite all the people to ask Vera, especially my students. I have already told them to ask you 100 questions. I think the talk were really very inspiring. La charla a mí por lo menos me ha parecido realmente muy inspiradora and a really great work. So congratulations, Vera.
Thank you.